If it's first game, the brakes will get you, know it up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. Ball, obstacles, block, cut, sides, through the game, tap, this win it is. First year again, we're here for the first May. Carry 5 people every 60 minutes.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Well, I mean, obviously, we've spent, 4 years, trying to change the culture, trying to instill in these young men how blessed they are, to have an opportunity to play somewhere like the University of Tennessee, and what an honor it is to have that T on the side of your helmet, and that we're always playing for something bigger than us individually.
Mark Stoops is 2-9 against his team, and Mark Stoops is 2-9 against his team, and to walk around this place before the game, I was disgusted. The smugness of those guys just walking around like, we're going to walk in here, we're going to kick your ass, and you can't do anything about it. And it made me sick. And you know what? They did it. They still did it. What the hell? Can we just beat this team? I know that Mark Stoops has done a lot of good things. This is his one really bad thing. The stupid stat about beating teams with a winning record and taking the next step and blah, blah. Just freaking beat Tennessee. Please, can we just stop losing to this stupid team with their stupid orange color, their stupid...
Make the decision. You're either a Vol or you're not, through thick and thin.
Another shot, she'll love me again.
Run that back, turbo.
Make it a double.
Whiskey, whiskey, won't you go away? Come again some other day. Cause a memory came out to play. And I'm tired of it, tired of it. I don't wanna wonder where she been.
Where she at?
She was here, now she gone again. Now it's me and all my whiskey friends. And I'm tired of it, tired of it.
Yeah, dark brown skin, caught eye contact while walking in. Perfect timing, get beside me, now we locking in. She like, tell me how you want it, on the rocks again. Little salt around the rim, feel to the top again. Fell back, now I'm back in it. Deal shots got me sending. Big rapper DJ skinny, playing Richard Mille square business. See me in the club, two-stepping, diamonds around my neck, square dancing. You done made a gangster romantic, fiending for your love, I'm an addict. So addicted, ain't no we can do about it. Country motherfucker, I say what's up, she say howdy. Call you my little cowgirl, how you ride it like a stallion. Don't know why I love it, can't get tired of it. I'm on you bad.
Whiskey, whiskey, won't you go away? Come again some other day. Cause a memory came out to play. And I'm tired of it, tired of it. I don't wanna wonder where she been.
Where she at?
She was here, now she gone again. Now it's me and all my whiskey friends. And I'm tired of it, tired of it. Put you up and hide you on the shelf, I swear I'm through with you. You so hard to leave it alone, it's always something new with you. Ain't nowhere to get her gone, gone, gone. So I guess I'm gonna tie one on. She's so cold I had to go and pour you over.
What is going on? Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. He's Coach Jay. Coach Jay, I want to bottle up those backroom conversations, and we got to figure out how to sell them. How do we monetize that? How do we monetize the conversations in the back room? They're always better than what we do on air. I don't get it.
They are. I think I'm going to have to like sneak attack you and start recording them secretly, and then I'll just like randomly make you release them. I don't want to release them on my own channel. I'm not like some other people.
See, I totally thought that's what you were going to say.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I'm too
No.
chill for that. I'm chilling out in SoCal, drinking my cactus cooler. You guys have cactus cooler out there?
We don't have cacti out here in East Tennessee,
Okay.
brother.
It's orange pineapple soda, and it is amazing.
That sounds like a
I've only
California
seen it
thing.
in California. Yep.
You know what we drink around here, Coach Jay? We drink whiskey. Is what we drink around here. That's what we drink in East Tennessee, brother.
Okay.
Sometimes too much. Sometimes too much. Look, we got a fun show, man. Speaking of drinking too much, when you and Miss J were out in Tennessee and we partook in a little bit of shenanigans on a Sunday night, and the next morning we wake up and I'm watching all the content, seeing what everybody's saying after the big win over Alabama, watching little pancakes and bacon. And Mrs. J walks in the room and she looks at me and goes, is this all you do? Like, is this all you do is watch YouTube? And I was like, yeah, pretty much. And then my wife comes in and she's like, these two idiots look just like you guys. Like they're not professionals. They're not media. They're acting like clowns just like you guys. And she's like, when are you getting back on the show? I was like, that's a good point. And I immediately put up the bat signal. So that's what we're going to do. Cause we were talking in the back room. I always complain on the channel about the bye week. I hate leading into the bye week. And then the bye week comes and goes, and I forget how much the week after the bye week really sucks. So we're going to get Kyler and Reed on here in just a second. And look, I always advertise this channel for the fans, by the fans. Crack open a beer, pull up a chair, and let's talk Tennessee football. And that's what we're doing tonight. There's no list. There's no narrative. There's no notes. Coach Jay said, what's the plan? I said, the hell if I know. I have no plan for tonight. Let's catch up with you guys, and then we'll get Kyler and Reed on the show. Tim Rice becomes a member of the channel. Also, Levi Reed becomes a member of the channel. We appreciate you guys. Could not do it without the members. Think about hitting that join button. It's only $1. That is all. Falming drops 2 and says, Dorfy, hashtag Kentucky's daddy, drops another 2 and says, oh, yeah, and by the way, don't be a Gerald, hashtag shit. Shout out Falming. Luke Thompson for 5 says, Dorfy, we appreciate you, Luke. Thank you for the super chat. Also, the Griff for 5 says, bring back the beer barrel and send them cats back to the mines. GBO. It's time. You can't pretend that you care about kids and the accident. It all made sense at the time, but now you're selling alcohol in Neyland Stadium. Bring back the beer barrel. Vols Girl for 5 says, is that really Dante Thornton in that dark mode video? Jenny, I don't know that we will ever know. I think it is Venom. I think it's Eddie Brock. All right, let's get into it. Let's get the boys on here. Let's talk some Tennessee football.
This is Pancakes and Bacon with VFL, Kyler Kerbison, and Reed Bacon.
I got to be honest, boys. Like that Morgan Wallen intro. You see, y'all don't know this. I can see y'all in the back room. Every guest, every co-host that we've ever had, when that Morgan Wallen song plays, they're dancing and they're acting like Morgan Wallen, walking out and all this stuff. You guys sat there like stone cold serial killers, staring at me like I am bored out of my mind. But when the Pancakes and Bacon intro played, Reed immediately started dancing. What's up, boys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole, but I'll openly say it. There's so I like Moneybag Yo, who's that song with Morgan, but I'm not a Morgan Wallen guy, and it's his music is very catchy and good, but I think there's some. If you live in Knoxville, there might be some personal stuff, and there's like a fandom that people either love him or people maybe know him and maybe don't necessarily love him. So I'll just leave it at that. That's why I was not bobbing, because that's me personally. I actually sit down when they play a song in the fourth quarter now.
Are you saying it's because he's a racist? Like, we don't have to pull punches around here. We can just say that he's a racist.
No. Yeah. No, he is. But so long story short, like he and I have just had like probably 2 or 3 interactions. And the dude's just not a good guy, like at all. Like he's kind of a POS. Now I don't know if he's changed. I don't know, whatever. I don't try to get into all that. But yeah, I don't like him. So
I love that this is how we're starting the show.
Yeah.
Good job, Aaron.
Yes. Beautiful.
Cancel
David
Reed
says,
now.
cancel Reed now.
That's fine. I'll stand on it. I'll stand on it.
Stand on it.
Are you saying you stand on business?
I was legitimately just like focused, like, all right, when are we going to pop up on the screen? Like, saw all the other guests. I was like, all right, when's old Pancakes and Bacon getting in there? Like, that's what I was focused on the whole time.
It is a great intro. Like the entire thing,
I
I
love
was
it.
like,
Yeah.
wow, that's awesome.
Bring in the week, the like stuff that pertains to this week, the Kentucky stuff. That guy just crying on the news is just fantastic. I was laughing my ass off in the.
Have you seen what he
background.
said? I can't remember if it was this week or after the Alabama game when he went nuts saying that Nico was just a glorified volleyball player and couldn't make a deep. The guy's a psycho. How does that guy work for on three? Like, he makes me look like a true professional. Like, it's a joke.
Listen, I mean, guys, what do you expect from people who are just absolutely slobbering over Will Levis for 2.5 years? What do you expect from people that do that? I don't expect a lot out of them.
That's hilarious. Let me. They're being very generous in the chat. Let me catch up with some super chats. Chad becomes a member of the channel. We appreciate that. Jeff's been a member around here for 7 months. Says Vol World Order. We appreciate you, my friend. Dan Yoder for 5 says always Kentucky's daddy. Let's go. Coach Rice is in the house. He says for 5, it's Jacoby Thomas in the Dante Thornton jersey in the hype video. Oh, they needed a dude. They needed a dude, and they went and got Jacoby Thomas and said, come be a dude and be Venom. That makes sense to me. Jeff for 5 says, GBO, we appreciate you, brother. Also, Angry Titan for 5 says, for Boogie's NIL, I hear Georgia has been hitting him up to make a hard push. Y'all going to embarrass me?
Make sure to keep you home.
They're going to embarrass me in front of Pancakes. But I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. We're going to play the clip. Sorry. Well, Cam, if you're in Athens and you're listening to the show, I'm going to need you to roll your window down real quick. Roll that window. I'm assuming he's got a man. It's how old we are. He's manly cranking that window down. All right. Now you've had time to roll that window down. Now I need you to crank the volume as loud as possible. As loud as it will possibly go. I mean, I want you to blow the doors off of somebody. As loud as it'll go. No, there are no good Georgia fans. Eric, terrible, ugly, disgusting. I think they're all terrible, ugly, disgusting. I don't believe there are good people that pull for Georgia. No, there are no good Georgia fans. There are none. I think they're all terrible, ugly, disgusting human beings. Terrible, ugly, disgusting. I promise we're going to talk Tennessee football and have a good time. The story behind that is Kaner works for Locked On Vols, and they expect professionalism. And he's like, hey, Boogie, they want me to do a live stream. Will you come be like my wingman and help me get through it? I'm like, sure. A Georgia fan pops in the chat. So I proceed to roast the Georgia fan. And Kaner's like, no, Georgia fans they're okay. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're not. And
terrible.
And you can see his reaction. He had no idea what to do because I don't work for anybody.
There, Kaner.
I work for my damn self. Caveman Boy for 2. We appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Sean Cross drops a 20 spot. That's Orange Boy. We got to follow the rules around here. If it's an Orange Boy, we have to play the clip if I can find it.
Rocky Top!
Sean Cross for 20 says pancakes, bacon, and cruising with Bentley. Let's go read what's up, Coach. What just happened here? They left Coach Jay out, then they left Kyler out. Shout out, Sean Cross. You're the man. We appreciate it. Good Lord. Luke Thompson for 5 says, I really want to eat a Carolina Reaper. We better take care of business. Luke, you're a man of your word. You're going to eat a Reaper if we lose, but hopefully that's not a problem. All right, let's reset. We're 15 minutes in. This is what happens. We get out of control. Let's talk about Tennessee football. Kyler, just overall thoughts. 6-1, 7 games into it, got 5 games left. Just if somebody in the chat doesn't listen to your show, by the way, there's a link in the description. Go follow them on Twitter. Go sub up Rocky Top Insider. There's a link to the Pancakes and Bacon playlist over at Rocky Top Insider. But if they don't watch your show, just kind of summarize your thoughts on the season so far.
Yeah, definitely go subscribe, like, do all that good stuff. Comments, love it on the YouTube. Thoughts so far is like, here I see this team that hasn't looked perfect at times, has honestly struggled on offense, that hasn't been able to put together a complete game, and has halves where they don't even score a point, and we're 6-1 and we're ranked inside the top 10. And it is, you kind of look back and you're like, since we got Heupel, what he's been able to do, how he's turned this around. Yeah, this team is not the 2022 team, but the 2022 team at the end of the year didn't get a chance, right? They got left out. So having this team be a different identity, having it be a defense first team, a defense that is carrying the team at this point, I mean, what's to say that's a bad thing? So, yeah, we're obviously still looking for the offense to click, the offense to come together, those explosive plays to start hitting. But the old adage of defense wins championships, like that makes me excited. Like I know Reed's excited about it. He's a defensive guy. I'm more of an offensive guy. I would love to see some fireworks, but the absolute domination that this defense does on Saturdays is like, I have so much faith because of them. Like what they were able to do last game when both of our interceptions, Gaston Moore first, then Nico, and both drives after they force a 3 and out and a punt. It's like you put this, it does not matter what position you put them in. You put them down on the goal line, they cause a fumble. You turn the ball over, they 3 and out punt. Like they have ultimate control over what's happening out in the field, and it's great to watch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Maybe I'll tag on to that same kind of thought, but go over to Reed. Reed, we'll get into the offense. I think we all kind of think they're close, right? Or could pop at some point here, but let's just say they don't for the sake of it, Reed. Is this defense good enough to win out if this offense stays at its current, let's say, state position?
Let me first off, Coach Jay, it's good to chat with you again. Boogie, thank you for having us on here.
Yep.
Let's see, if our current state is where we don't play super well in the first half, can do enough in the second half against Florida, against Oklahoma. Well, Oklahoma's probably more first half, but yeah, so we do enough in the second half against Florida and Bama. Are they good enough to win out? I don't know. I saw a Vol girl put it up there that if this offense clicks a little bit, and as I said on our last podcast, I don't need them to hit 70% or 80%. If they just hit, say if we're hitting 20% now, if they can creep that up to 30 or 40, maybe hit half of what we're missing, I think they win out for sure. But at the clip we're going, it's probably tough to do. Because I think a couple of those turnovers could hurt us. But I love the defense. They're incredible to watch. I'm just trying to enjoy them instead of being a little frustrated with where the offense is. But yeah, so I don't know about winning out, but they're still going to be it would still be a good year, I think, overall, even though I think the four of us and all Nation want to see us in the playoff. I'll ask you all, did you guys kind of have the same reaction, or what were your all's thoughts and feelings, I guess, after Oklahoma and then after the Arkansas loss, with everyone acting like Coach Heupel forgot how to coach a team or coach offense?
I guess I'll go. I mean, the Arkansas game, I just kind of took it. I think like a lot of Vol fans, like they had some grace with the way they've been playing, so well early. And, obviously Nico and the offense is kept in there for full halves against the lesser competition. They would have had huge numbers. They just kind of pulled them out. And I thought Heupel did the right thing in the Oklahoma game. I kind of took the Arkansas game as we just kind of came out flat and got caught flat-footed, got snake bit. I thought the play calling was there, though. I know I commented on one of your comments. I've never been one of these blame Halsey guys. I mean, even last year, I really wasn't on that train. I wasn't like, oh, I miss Golish, this and that. And I like Alex Golish. Don't get me wrong. I've kind of given him a hard time on this channel, just pushing back against fans. But I like Alex Golish a lot. I think he's a great coach. But I think it's been the same old Heupel offense. I just think they've kind of dialed it up the way they dialed it up, and we've either executed it or we haven't. And it's been that simple. But I think frustrated, yes, but not willing to just solely point the finger at one thing. I think it's real easy to go, oh, our tackles are getting blown up. It's our offensive line, or, oh, Nico's trash, he's missed 3 throws, or whatever you may have it. Like, it's easy to point your finger at one thing, but kind of like we were talking about in the back room, I feel like it's just been one thing spread around the field over and over again, and it just feels so close. I've told Boogie this a couple times, and I've dealt with this as a coach quite a bit, where you're coaching a team and it's like it's frustrating because it's right in front of your face and you know how close they are, and you just can't seem to get your mind around it, or a firm grasp of exactly what we need to do. But it's just as simple as I think we need to be sharper. We need to execute better. This team is close, man. You look at the first two drives of the last games. I think both of those are touchdown drives if we don't shoot ourselves in the foot. That can change trajectory of games. I know you all probably believe in momentum like I do on a football field. It's a real thing. It's palpable. But I'm not willing to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think Nico's had lots of issues to shoulder on him, but I also think he's been great in moments, and people have taken it a bridge too far. But before I ramble for too long, go ahead, Reed. Yeah, sorry.
No, I agree, and I think Kyler does too. That it's not solely one position group or one or two players. It is really a little bit of everything. I mean, whether it's the tackles or whether it's a guard, that we've talked about. It's not just the tackles; it's the whole offensive line, except for maybe Cooper has had some struggles, and then you got Nico who might overthrow, but then the next one he puts it right on Squirrel and Squirrel drops it, or he puts it right on somebody else and they drop it. So it's just one of those things. I completely agree that. So 2022. There were multiple people that stepped up and made big-time plays and played at their highest level. As Kyler always says, if I've seen you play this and I know you can play this, then that's now the expectation. So 2022, you had people that played up to that level, and then I felt like last year we saw it where majority of the time everyone was doing their thing, and then the quarterback maybe didn't do his part. At some things, not to get back into that again, but this year I agree that offensively it's been a round robin of everyone taking a chance or taking their turn making a mistake. So and the thing about Golish, that thing is wild to me. Like, I don't dislike the guy either, but for him to leave and be like, oh, he was the one with the magic gun or with the gun with the magic bullet, I was like, Heupel's the one that calls all the plays. Now, maybe he misses Golish on the week leading up, and maybe Golish was able to input in some plays and bring stuff to game planning, and maybe he was a good earpiece during the games to talk down to Heupel, say, hey, they're doing this, or they're doing this, or hey, let's not forget this. So I'm not trying to negate what he did, but to say it was all him, I mean, that's almost insanity to me, in my opinion. But
why I lose my mind over the off. Every time you want to fire the offensive coordinator, to me it's low hanging fruit. Well, we're not scoring points. It's the offensive coordinator. Fire him and move on. On the flip side of that, you got guys running wide open down the field. The offensive coordinator is doing his job. You got guys wide open. So whether it's a drop, whether it's Nico overthrow, whether it's the offensive line not protecting, whatever it is, man, when you've got guys regularly running free every single game. And I was having this conversation. I had lunch with some people today, and they were asking me my thoughts. And I'm like, well, if only I had a YouTube channel and you could tune in and listen to what I thought. But they don't. So I had the conversation. I had that conversation. And look, you got guys running free. You got guys wide open. Nico, I don't care if you're playing Alabama or you're playing Chattanooga. The throws against Chattanooga, you got guys running free. Put it on them. And I've been arguing with Coach Jay the entire season. I think we come from maybe two viewpoints on this. I feel like he lost some confidence somewhere along the way. Is it a lack of confidence in his offensive line to protect him? Is it a lack of confidence in himself because he's made a couple of mistakes? He's made a couple of misses, so he's pressing. He's trying to make a play, which leads to an overthrow. Is it miscommunication? Bottom line for me, it ain't Joey Halsey. I think it's execution. And Kyler said it in the back room. It takes 11 guys, and Heupel said it, 11 guys doing ordinary things at a high level. And it's so dumb, it's so stupid, it's so coach speak, and it's so cliche, but it's so true. So, Kyler, talk about the offensive line, because Coach Jay defends Nico a lot because obviously he's got the connection to Nico. Lance Hurd has struggled at times, and I keep saying Lance Hurd is young, and Lance Hurd is going to be a good football player for Tennessee. Like, talk about the tackles, the offensive line as a whole, and then you can kind of just go where you want with the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I see both of your guys' sides with the Nico conversation first. I see maybe there is a little loss of confidence. I thought when he came back in from the injury versus Alabama, he was pressing. I thought he was like, all right, I'm putting this on my back. I'm gonna take us down the field. And he made some good throws. Like he did. He made some good throws on that drive and then just continued to press. And in a situation where it's obvious you're going to get hit, you're not going to be able to get a good throw off. It's on your backside shoulder. He tries it, and it ends up in an interception. So I think it was like you're so close, but you just went over the edge just a little bit. When it comes to the offensive line, I was very disappointed in them in the Arkansas and in the Florida game. I was pretty upset after Arkansas. In our podcast, I kind of went off on them because, like Reed said, once I see you have the capability of doing something, then I expect you to be able to do it at that level. And I think every coach also thinks that. Like, I think every coach is like, I've seen the best out of this guy. This is where I'm trying to get him, right? I've seen the best out of Lance, out of John Campbell, out of Spraggs, out of Coop, out of Carrick. And it's like, so now I expect this out of you. So when I see you coming off the ball lethargic or just standing straight up or just like really just leaving your arms out there in pass pro and letting the defender knock him down, it infuriates me. Like when I see John Campbell like just refuse to replace his hands on pass protection, just holds onto the guy, and then the guy spins or moves and he stays there, and then he's just like wrapped around the guy's neck, and it's like, dude, just let go and replace your hands. Like, it's such an easy like concept. I know they work it. There's no way they don't. So it's just things like that. Like you said, you hate it when like people fire the offensive coordinator. It's such low-hanging fruit. It honestly, like, and I kind of feel bad saying this, but it's more like fire their position coach. Like, what is this position coach? Like, what's that wide receiver coach saying to those wide receivers who aren't getting open? What is he coaching them up on? What is the topical? What is the DB coach coaching that number 29 for the Chicago Bears, who's literally celebrating on a Hail Mary play and literally doesn't know the freaking plays going on, and then is late running over, tries to do something, and he's the one who knocks the ball up in the air for the Hail Mary catch? Like, what is the DB coach saying to him? How does he coach him? Because that's where the failure is. It's not like, yeah, the player's an idiot, obviously, but like, if I got guys just not even doing their job, even anywhere close, or just running wrong routes, or running backs like missing wide open holes, if I gave you a bunch of 2 stars and that's happening, hey, sorry, bud, put you in a bad spot. But if you got 4 or 5 stars, some high 3s in your meeting rooms, and we still can't get this figured out, that's where I'm like, all right, now I can blame a coach, but I'm not blaming the offensive coordinator. I'm blaming that position coach.
Yeah, so I saw somebody. I love the comments that pop up, and I try to listen and watch them and stuff like that. Kyler, do you think?
Wait, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I thought that's where you were going. I jumped the gun. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I just like seeing some of the ones that popped up, and someone had put on there like talking about Golish was a good eye and did really good up in the box for Heupel, which I don't know why that individual would know that unless Heupel has come out and said that. But then again, you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like as fans, we make these broad statements. I saw one on Twitter the other day that somebody tweeted out that Coach Inge, the linebackers coach, is an elite coach because of the 20-second clip that someone heard him talking about the pregame. It's like, what? Yeah, that I liked what his message was, but we're just going to go ahead and say he's an elite ball coach. If the linebackers don't play well next week, then they're going to say he's terrible. But my thing about this whole coaching is if they wanted to come out after the coaching and Coach Heupel after the Arkansas game, it shouldn't be that he doesn't know how to coach ball or he thought he was play calling was too conservative or whatever the case may be. It's his job to get them to execute. And if they don't execute, they don't need to be on the field. And if the players aren't good enough, you don't trust them enough, then you got to recruit better. Like, those are the legit things. But when we go start talking about the game plan,
sorry to interrupt, but like I think that is one of the main reasons Jeremy Pruitt was bad at his job, because he continued to let Jared Garantano be the starting quarterback even after all the mistakes, and not just realizing, hey, he's not it. Move on.
Yeah, and that's a good example. But then there's also example for like with your first coach with Dooley. Like, I mean, it was just blatant that Dooley the team wasn't disciplined. I mean, guys just ran amok. So there's just like you and I had a great conversation the one time you were still playing there. I think you were going into your last year. And I was like giving you a hard time about Butch or whatever, but which is, looking back on it now, is just I shouldn't have ever been doing that while you're still playing.
That's a real friend. Yeah. That's a real friend.
Yeah, ass.
But the thing about it is, like, you made the comment, like, some of these head coaches, and I'm not talking about Coach Heupel because he does call the plays, but some of these head coaches, like, they're a CEO. They're not the ones that are getting their hands in there and getting them dirty, like you mentioned to the position coach. But yeah, like, if fans want to be upset, like, the loss in Arkansas was on Coach Heupel for not getting them prepared, not having them execute, not having the players out there that will execute, like stuff like that. But with like Boogie, you said it. If we've got guys running down the field wide open, like, and we miss them, what do we need to do there?
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated too by the dynamic of the whole Nico thing, because I didn't know that y'all were kind of on each side of that. I have not thought about it that way, of like maybe he stepped in. And I guess I could turn this into a question. Coach Jay, you would know better than I guess anyone. I don't know how much struggle Nico really saw growing up. I'm assuming every field he ever stepped on, he was the best player on there. And so there wasn't a lot of, and I'm not attacking his character about adversity. I'm not saying that, but like, if he's always been the best and the throws have always come, I could see he shows up and maybe loses a little confidence. Like, you know, I just know confidence is such a big player in sports. So I think that's fascinating that you guys have brought that up. And so
I think me and Boogie might be closer than even we think. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's more of a forcing and learning on the fly, right? Because it's been lots of little things, not just always one big thing. Yeah, he's had a couple overthrows. I get that, but Boogie feels like it's a confidence thing. I kind of feel like it's a forcing thing. I mean, how different are the two really? And are the two connected as well? Yeah, probably, sure. I'll buy that. As far as your other comment, I mean, yeah, he's probably always been the most athletic dude on the team, right? But when he played as a freshman, like, he wanted to play defense. He tried out for defensive end, and I know they pulled him from it and were like, "Hey, dude, you're playing quarterback," because, you know, they were watching him throw the ball, and he played both ways. And before that, but he went through a really rough patch as a freshman, turned it around, started as a sophomore. Went through another extremely rough patch where the team really struggled out of league his sophomore year. Once they got into league, he went insane. I've talked about it here on this channel before. Had a nasty finger break, bone pop out of the skin in a semifinal game. Finished that game, won the game with bone sticking out of his skin. So I've never been one to question his toughness after seeing that. And I will say this, and it started to come out. I did yell about this after the Arkansas game, and even after, I think it was the NC State game, one of the games, people were like yelling at Nico because he didn't slide. I can't remember what game that was early. That everyone was like, "Slide, Nico, what the hell are you doing?" You know, and I was watching it like, No. This kid likes to lower his head, and he needs contact. He's the type of player that likes to hit, that likes to get into the fight and start throwing punches. don't take that away from him. In the next game, he like slid immediately. You could tell he'd been coached up to do so. And I was like, man, this isn't who he is as a player. This is going to be something new that he's got to figure out. So, I mean, have they kind of figured that out? How willing are they to let Nico play physical? They have to be a little more nervous after the very short Gaston Moore experience, where I know a lot of fans and even myself want to be like, oh, yeah, careful what you wish for. But, yeah, they also threw him in there, in an impossible situation coming onto the mound, cold as ice. So I don't blame Gaston too much for that. But I do think this staff might not be as comfortable as some fans are with the backup quarterback situation, and maybe that does have some play in it. But yeah, he's seen adversity. It always hasn't been perfect for him. Although I will say, yeah, it's also true. He's always, been a freak athlete, no doubt about it.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because
yeah,
and I've never
immediately makes me feel better.
Yeah, I've never once questioned his. Like I said, I don't know him personally, and I've said this statement on our pod. Like, I don't know the kid, but if you see how he talks in interviews, how he acts, how he seems to come across, how the other players talk about him, in this social media era, it's not hard to tell someone who loves them and is about the wrong things on a team. And he seems complete opposite. He seems like a great teammate, a great guy. Who he does truly care about winning. He's not necessarily cared about his stats or going to the league or any of that. Like, he just wants to show up and win. I think it was a pretty big deal that he just showed up as a freshman last year, and you never really heard a peep about him, and he was a good teammate to Joe. So, like, all of those things are the reason that I'm like, I'm never going to be out on this kid, because if he's got the right stuff, then that will unlock, like, he's not going to stop working until it works, until he flips it on, and then all that talent shows. And so have I been bummed that we missed deep shots? Yeah, but I'm not like screw and bench him or anything like that. Like, no, but I do have a lot of faith in the guy, just because it seems like how he's built and the character that he has.
I love, like, post game, I forget what game it was, where Larry Johnson was out there and got destroyed, and Nico gets blindsided. We all think he's done for. I think Dane Davis got blown up in that game. Sprags may have got blown up, and they asked Nico post game, like, do you have a lack of trust? And he immediately goes, no, I trust my guys. Like, he always says and does the right things. And obviously I've got the connection through Coach Jay, so I'm ride or die with Nico. And when people start bad mouthing him, I feel like, well, you're talking about my friend's little brother. Like Coach Jay has that connection, right? And let me catch up with Super Chats, and I want to come back to position coaches, because I'm going to put Kyler on blast, and we're going to talk about Glenn Ellerby. But let me catch up with you guys. Ron the Don for 10 says, I said biscuits, boogie, gravy, Coach Jay. See, I feel like you're just calling me the fat guy. Like Kyler played offensive line in the SEC, but now he's just lean and, like, skinny, and it's like, okay, I'll be biscuits. Like, is that my nickname now? Gravy, Coach Jay, pancakes and bacon. Let's go. The paternity test is out. I think he meant to say Mari said, yes, Tennessee, you are Kentucky's daddy. Let's go. We in this mix. So stir it up. Shout out Ron the Don. He's a character. You guys, we got to get Ron the Don to hang out with you guys. He's something else. James Fair for 2 says, Kyler and Reed. Coach Jay, we only drink Dr. Enough and whiskey. Andrew Fielding for 20. That's Orange Boy. We'll play the clip.
Rocky Top!
He says, very special episode for me this week. Friday, I begin my journey to Knoxville from Denver for my first experience in Neyland with my best friend from high school. Can't wait. Any recommendations where to tailgate? GBO. First and foremost, enjoy that. I'm not going to get emotional and start going down the story of the guy that I went to my first game with. Okay, I will get emotional because he's not. Let me tell this story, because Kyler may appreciate it. As an offensive lineman that played in the SEC, so I got free tickets. It was during the Dooley era. Louisiana Tech. Were you there when you all blew out Louisiana Tech, or was that
I think that might have been the year before.
Okay, so I get tickets. A guy at work gives me free tickets, and I'm like, all right. So I hit up my buddy Chris. I'm like, I got free tickets. We're going to the game. He's like, awesome, man. We're ready to go. And he was a special kind of person. Like, he was unique. And we all made fun of him because he had a Michael Munoz jersey. And we all said, nobody buys an offensive lineman jersey. Like, what are you doing? So we make fun of him. We give him a hard time. So I go pick up Chris. We're going down to the game. He's rocking his Michael Munoz 77 jersey, and we're at the Vol Walk. And guess who walks by? Anthony Munoz. And my buddy Chris goes up to him and says, "I love your son. I'm a big fan." And I got chill bumps telling this story. So I've got a picture of Chris with Anthony Munoz. He's wearing the Michael Munoz jersey that we ripped him for. He passed away from brain cancer, and it's like. I've got that 77 jersey. His wife said,
love that.
There's no better person to have this jersey than you. And it's like, so when I see super chats like this from Andrew saying that you're going with your best friend, it's about the people you enjoy the environment with. But he also asked any recommendations for tailgates. You guys have any the
classic G10. Just walking through that whole parking garage, you can find something. Circle Park is a huge spot. If you like, whoever has a spot on Circle Park is doing pretty well for themselves. Like that's the kind of stuff you got over there.
G10 is too. G10,
yeah, G10 is too. And then if you got any kiddos, like the little thing in the square, I can't.
Vol Village.
Yeah, Vol Village is like if you're 9 or 10 years old. That's the coolest. That's like the best place in the world.
Yeah. The Hoskins tailgate. I got to go to the Alabama game. Yeah, the Alabama game when I was there. Saw Smoky Mountain Red there and a couple of all people. That's an awesome tailgate, guys. I think it was like $25-$35, something like that. Alcohol.
Wait, how much did you pay?
Beer.
I forgot. How much did you pay?
They wouldn't let me pay. They wouldn't let me pay like I tried to pay.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
But I gamed the system. We bought a bunch of the Lays that Nico's aunt made that were like $100 or whatever. So I did sneak around and figure out a way to donate because that one goes to the St. Jude Hospital. So, not only do you get a little bit of beer, a little bit of pulled pork, but goes to a great cause too. So definitely go check that out.
All right, one more super chat, then we're going to get back into it. It's also an Orange Boy. It's a 20 spot. These make me happy. I get to play the clip.
Rocky Top!
Sling Blade for 20 says, Dorfy, evening fellas, got my God Bless and Go Vols hoodie ordered. Found out I'm heading to the game this weekend. So cool that Reed and Kyler are hanging out with us tonight. Welcome, guys. Enjoy the game. You can get your God Bless and Go Vols merch, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. We sell a shirt that says God Bless and Go Vols. We also sell a shirt that says FUGA. So, we're hitting all sides of it from all different angles. But thank you, Sling Blade.
The classic good, bad, and the ugly. You're going to do one of those. Put the Georgia, Florida on there, maybe.
Oh, I'm always up for a good T-shirt idea. I'm basically just a T-shirt salesman. FUGA is a hot one. Buck Fam is a hot one. Kentucky's Daddy is a hot T-shirt. But they're all there. Bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Let's talk about position coaches because that was a good point. And Glenn Ellerby is somebody that a lot of people are in the comment section in the live chat saying Glenn Ellerby has to go. And then it comes up the loyalty of Josh Heupel to his friend. So, Kyler, what are your thoughts on Glenn Ellerby? What I always go back to first is recruiting, and he missed those first couple of cycles. And the one that I always look back to is Francis Mauigoa, Lucas Simmons, Stanton Ramel, and Shamrod Umarov. You got one out of the four, and that kind of sets you back a little bit. But you go and get David Sanders. You're in on the number one offensive tackle in the class of 26. So what are your thoughts on Glenn Ellerby as a coach, the development that you're seeing, just overall?
Listen, you just brought it up. I mean, David Sanders, like that kind of flips it on its head when it comes to recruiting. Like, yeah, I hate that we missed Francis, and it does like stink. But at the same time, yes, Reed, do you have?
Hold on, I want to bring this up though real quick because you and I had
like our podcast.
You and I have had this conversation though, and you're gonna be happy I brought this up. I'm not saying that Glenn Ellerby is not having conversations with those players because he is. He would be their position coach. But you and I have talked about where fans will get upset. Why didn't he recruit this person, this person, this person? These coaches are broken down by territories. So it's not like Glenn Ellerby is going and just recruiting all the offensive linemen. Like Francis might have met with Tim Banks first, or whoever has that area. So I want you to make sure to shout that out and mention that, because often, just because we don't get an offensive lineman doesn't mean it was Glenn Ellerby's fault.
Also, let's just call a spade a spade. Francis Mauigoa, allegedly, it's like, don't you have like a certain, what's it called? Limit of, what is it? Limit, like you got a certain amount of time. I can say it now. Allegedly wanted $5 million. We didn't want to pay that. Allegedly. Sorry. I'm like Reed. I'm going to cut you off. Go ahead, Kyler.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Yeah, if that was, allegedly there, that's a definite no. No, thank you. Go somewhere else. But what I was kind of getting to is, like, Reed is correct. Like, coaches have regions of the country that they oversee. It's also like, depending on where the guy came from and what he went through, through his life, if he's from a certain borough in Carolina or he's from a certain place in Florida, and there's another coach who grew up in Gainesville, the same place he did, they'll send that coach to recruit him, even though he's not even his position coach, just to be like, hey, come here. You're going to love it here. It's going to be awesome. Texting, calling. Then when the guy actually visits, it's, hey, meet your position coach. What do you think about him? Like, do you and the coach just slobbers the kid and loves on him the whole time. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, I've had coaches complain to me as I was a player, being like, God, I have to literally get on my hands and knees for this 16/17-year-old kid. Because like coaches are doing that. I hope guys know that, or people know that coaches are doing that. But my original point is, when you're first starting out and you're first trying to sell these recruits on Tennessee and on what it is, it's hard you just got there. What do you mean this is a special place? You don't even know what this place is. It's hard to kind of buy in. Once you have the season like 22, it becomes a little bit easier. There's a little bit more backing to it. But like, I remember when Cade was getting recruited out of high school and he was committed to Tennessee for the longest time. And then Coach Jones gets fired. They hire Jeremy Pruitt, and Cade's like, I don't know this guy. Like, I'm sorry, I can't trust him. I don't know him. And is the reason why he went to Georgia. And then you saw, like, he came back. Like, Cade wanted to be here, but the change in coaching, he was like, I can't trust this guy with my future. And Sam Pittman was at Georgia at that time, who was a great offensive line coach. He was my coach for a year at Tennessee. So like, when Cade committed to Georgia, I was like, makes sense. I literally was not mad at him at all. I'm like, look, I get it. Like, if I was in that scenario, I know the kind of coach Sam Pittman is and the kind of guy he is. And it's like, I get it. You have, like, how can you really see that? And, ultimately he wanted to be here, but sometimes it's like, whoa, I don't know you guys yet. Right. I don't know what kind of team you are. I don't, so give them the couple years to kind of build into it. And now they have that backing of, hey, we're in the top 10 in most years that we're here. Hey, we're fighting for an SEC, championship. Hey, we're in the running for these playoffs. Hey, we're winning games. We're winning a lot of games offensively and defensively. Like, 2022, every offensive recruit, I'm sure, saw that Alabama game and was like, I want to be freaking Jalen Hyatt. Like, you're telling me they run an offense where this guy gets 5 touchdowns in a game? I love that kind of offense. If you're a wide receiver, I love that kind of offense. If you're a defensive recruit right now and you're watching Tim Banks and what he's drawn up, and you're watching Will Brooks freaking have the games of his play like this, you're watching James Pierce and the amount of amazingness that he is. And like, you're like, why is this defensive line so good and so deep? As a defensive lineman, I'd be like, Rodney Garner is coaching his butt off and he's doing a fantastic job. Why is our third string 3 technique so good? Like, they're incredible. So that's where it kind of ties in. Is like, hey, now I have this backing behind me the games that have been won, the rivalries that are renewed. Like, come here. This is the kind of place you want to be.
Let me. I got a question for all three of you because I'm curious. But if we're just talking about offensive line and Glenn Ellerby, and I've watched every game since Heupel's been here multiple times when we do the rewatch, and I can't really recall a time besides I guess a couple times this year that I just thought the offensive line was horrendous. Had some really bad times, but I think it's really hard besides this year. And I know that the most recent performances are what's in our mind, but if you look at the team as a whole, how good we've been rushing the ball since Heupel's here, it's hard to really knock the offensive line coach when you're one of the top rushing teams in America. And it's not just doing it against UTC. It's doing it against A&M or Bama or Georgia or Texas A&M or whoever else. But I feel like when we had the Darnell Wright, Jerome Carvin, Cooper, he was even swinging with Mincy and Crawford and some of these. Like, I don't think our offensive line's been an overall problem since they've been here. But I don't know. That's just me. I don't know what the three of you all think.
I said the same thing. Like, I made a video earlier today, and I used the PFF grades, and PFF grades, take them for what they're worth. It's just something, right? And it was a talking point for me to look at. And it was like the run blocking grade was so low. It was like it had pass blocking, run blocking, offense, defense. Like, it had all these different categories. And I'm like, well, that's a weird thing to say about the team that leads the conference in rushing yards per game. And do you think some of that, though, is because of Heupel's scheme set you up to run the football more successfully? Does your offensive line need, or Kyler, or whoever wants to jump in here, do they need to be that great run blocking? I know you got to be good. You want to be elite, but is some of that Heupel scheme?
I mean, I think ultimately you can say yes because of what he's trying to do out there on the field. He is trying to get us light boxes to run into, makes it easier for blocking. He's trying, like Reed said, he's trying to go fast. Guess what going fast does? Makes dudes tired. Like, now you're able to block them a lot easier. They aren't able to make those arm tackles that they've been making before. Then you also have an absolute freak at this point. I don't understand how he does it. Dylan Sampson in the backfield, and how many broken tackles that guy has, and how many yards after contact that guy has. And he's 17 touchdowns on the season. He's literally going to set a record at Tennessee. This guy has been crazy. There's multiple drives this season that he's just said, I'm going to do this. Like, I'll do this. Just give me the freaking ball. I'll take care of it. Had it versus Florida, had it versus Bama. And, he's kind of a Houdini out there that makes guys look good, like makes guys right when they're wrong. I've seen it multiple times with the pullers, guys coming around and they're like not in good technique, not in good position to collect the block, and Dylan makes them right. Seeing guys trying to work up to the next level of linebacker, and Dylan just like patiently waits for them and makes them right in their blocking scheme. So it's like, it's a combination of all of those things. And like you said, what we were talking about it's 10 guys doing the right thing and the 11th missing. So I'm sure there could be PFF grades that are low because there are guys that are missing, but there's 4 other dudes that are doing the right thing. And you can get away sometimes with it. Like it happens when your running back is as good as Dylan Sampson. And I think Deshaun Bishop's a pretty damn good running back too.
Yeah.
And he's going to run through arm tackles, right? Yeah. Like, even if a guy is off a block and he's at the line of scrimmage, Bishop still gets 3 yards. Great. Like, positive yardage when it could have been a tackle for loss. Like, it's a combination of all of it is how that could happen. And one guy being off can cause a lot of issues, and you can also just get away with it at some points.
I think it's not. We shouldn't forget that. Like I mentioned, we had a couple NFL players on the line, but Jalen Wright really good running back. Jabari Small, really good running back. I think those guys were very high end. I'm not going to say they weren't elite college running backs, but they were high end college running backs, and they did their part. But there was a lot of times, Kyler, you and I would watch it, and there were some great holes. I mean, absolutely. I mean, even this year, there's a couple where Dylan, doesn't have to even really make one guy miss. He just outruns them. So
yeah.
I think when we're talking about the whole coaching stuff, I think it's also, and this even ties into the Nico talk earlier, it's hard to do in the middle of the season, and it's hard to do week to week. But I really think unless something is just astronomically awful, you got to give people a full season. You know what I mean? Like Arkansas was a bad performance for the offensive line, but I don't think we can or fire Coach Ellerby unless it's multiple of those throughout the year. That's just my opinion. And that's why Nico, if anyone wants to bring up you guys want to blame Joe, but you're not blaming Nico, I've said it multiple times. I'll always say it. Joe was like a 19th year senior. We kind of knew what he was at multiple stops. Nico is literally playing his 7th start. And people want to say, I heard a national columnist say, well, people want to say he's a freshman. He's not a freshman. He's been on campus a year. Okay, I get it. But I'm saying seeing live bullets and really playing, it's like a 7th start. So me personally, if I'm talking to that guy, like I'm not giving up on him on that. Like, I mean, let him at least finish his redshirt freshman year before we really start saying stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that same thing.
Backstage, I told Kyler, y'all have been saying the same stuff we've been saying, and that's why it's like we got to do this show because Coach Jay's been saying that over and over and over about Nico.
I just, like I said, like if you go to war and you're freaking cooking in the background, but you're there for 3 years, and all of a sudden you got to go into combat. It's a little different, right? Like it's just it's two different things. And yeah, I'm with you on the O-line too. They've had bad moments, but then they've had moments where they're great. Then they've had moments again where they're bad, and you're like, why are you holding them there? Just let them go, sing them a song, tell them a story. Nico's already around the corner or whatever, have it, and on the move. So it's just been those things. It's been there's a penalty or a miscommunication on a block where, someone thought they were picking up the guy coming inside, then they should have gone outside and faded back inside or whatever you may have it. So it's been maddening, but man, I still just feel like this offense is darn close. I wouldn't be extremely surprised if we see him take off versus a Kentucky or a Mississippi State team that's struggling.
Coach Jay, you kind of hit on something there too, which always gets Kyler fired up, that pass protection's not just on the offensive line. It's on the backs. It's on. Yeah,
there's been some miscommunications there, no doubt.
It's on the backs. It's on the tight ends. It's even on Nico too. I mean, Nico has to be able to get them in certain protection. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely more than just one piece.
It's also like.
Go ahead.
I've kind of noticed a theme of the year, and like we're hoping for, the offense comes together. It's like the first few games versus inferior opponents did pretty well overall as a team, offense, defensively. We get into SEC play. Oklahoma's our first game away. Both of our tackles are out injured. We have backups in there. Larry Johnson is not ready yet. That is just there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's not. So Heupel changes up his game plan. He runs the ball a little bit more. He's a little safer because he has the lead and doesn't have his blindside tackle. We go into a bye week hoping the two guys we need come back from injury and perform well immediately. They don't. And there's still some miscommunication, and Arkansas wins again away. So making it even more difficult. Then we come home to Florida. There's less penalties than we had before. You see more explosive runs out of Dylan than you saw in Arkansas. You're not seeing so many sacks going on, and we luckily win that game. And then Alabama, I want anybody to tell me if over the past 2 weeks you heard people going, the offensive line was a problem that day, or was it, hey, Nico was missing guys and wide receivers were dropping balls? Like, you go back and watch the game, there's a lot of good pass protection. There is a lot of good run lanes. there's a lot of good push up front. When we're down in the goal line and we need 3 yards, we get 3 yards. Doesn't matter. So there's like it's kind of growing out of the injuries that were there from the bye week, 2 away opponents, and it's getting a little bit better. Now, like grouping these 4 home games together, it's so good for this team to go Florida, Bama, Kentucky, Mississippi State, just home, Neyland effect, just like making this such a great time for growth in the team.
Last thing, I know we can jump off here if you got something else, Boogie, that you want to go to, but I don't even know how good offensive line play is across the country with even the highest levels. I was listening to, I think Todd McShay on his new show talking today with Joe Klatt, and they were talking about the Ohio State and Penn State game coming up, talking about the offensive line struggles that Ohio State's have. You know, they're supposed to be a top 5 team. They usually always have great talent. Michigan, who usually has a good offensive line, they're not any good this year. You go to even the LSU game where Will Campbell's supposed to be a top 10, 15 pick, and he got worked multiple times against A&M. I just think that offensive line play it can just be really tough. Like, I mean, in college ball and in the NFL for some teams.
It's not easy. It's not easy. Although I do want to know, Kyler, like, how awesome was that moment for you in the Bama game when Bama's defensive line standing over our guys at the goal line and wouldn't let us snap the ball, and they got – I was like – I was watching that literally thinking, I bet Kyler's fired up right now, wasn't it?
Oh, no, I told
around.
No, I told Reed immediately, like when we were on the podcast, I said as soon as that started happening, I started mother effing the freaking screen. Get his ass off the ball, push his ass off. I was getting fired up. I would have yanked his ass out of there if I was a center, if I was Cooper, like Cooper gave him a push. But if he's literally like kicking the ball, I would have like strong arm in his chest, like move little boy out of the way.
Yep.
Yeah, that was getting at me, and then I just love the fact we just scored right away.
Oh, I love it.
What did the very next play?
It was.
I love it. Well, wait, we go from such a great offensive line moment to this question, but hey, we asked the hard-hitting questions here. Knoxville Predator Catcher says for 10, Kyler, how would your O-line group feel about a player sitting so he doesn't put out bad tape? I don't know how you guys have addressed the Lance Hurd rumors. A rumor is a rumor. Facts are facts. But the rumors of Lance Hurd sitting out because he didn't want to put out bad tape when he was injured.
Well,
careful.
Here's careful.
Hey,
we have some sensitive people around here. Okay. So
Boogie, did you say that the rumor was he sat out because he didn't want to put bad tape out there because he was injured?
The rumor is that he was cleared by the medical staff. The rumor, Reed, not allegedly, that he was cleared by the medical staff.
Okay.
But his agent said, we don't want to put out bad tape.
Okay.
So you don't need to play in this game. This was what was on Twitter, allegedly. And Coach Heibel told him to sit his ass at home. Now, that's allegedly. I have no proof of that. People have no proof of that. That's the rumor. So nobody knows what's true. Maybe somebody knows what's true, but that was what was floating around on Twitter. So
because the only reason I asked that before Kyler answers is because Kyler and I, which we really both like Squirrel White, he was one of my favorite recruits when we had him coming in. You can go back and watch or check the old podcast. I really liked him. But I got a little frustrated with Squirrel in the Bama game because if you're not 100%, and I know you want to go out there and give it your all, but if you can't execute at the level that your teammates need you, you don't need to be out there. That's why I was asking if he truly was injured, because I was almost going to say, listen, if Lance is injured, now me personally or Kyler, I can speak for him because I know it. If we're injured, we're going to do everything we can to go out there. And then if it's not happening that day, we're going to walk off the field and say, hey, we are letting our team down. But that's why I was asking about injuries, because the Squirrel is only putting one hand up on a seam route or a ball that's hitting him right in the hands when he's kind of falling down and he's not catching it, like that. Those can't happen. But
and you love that toughness, but it's also on the coaching staff to say you're actually hurting us, so go sit down.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
Kyler, do you want to comment on that?
So, like I said, people can be sensitive. What is a fantastic fact about the O-line position is that you are supposed to be the hardest MFer out there on that field. Out of every guy who's out there, out of the 22 dudes out there, Reed, I saw that look, pause. You are supposed to be the toughest dude on the field. You are supposed to be moving men from point A to point B against their will. It is part of who you are. So if there is the, hey, I'm going to purposely sit out so that I do not put out bad film, I'm going to purposely sit on the bench, and my head coach is going to send me home, and it's your agent telling you that for your possible future career in football, you're not going to have a future career in football because of the position you play. Okay? Like,
Nope.
You don't think that your coaching staff and the medical staff and everyone else talks to every other scout that's there? You don't think the scouts walk into the medical room and go, what kind of guy is he? When he has rehab to do, does he come in and do it? They go to the nutrition staff. What kind of dude is he? Does he treat you guys well? They go to the head coach. Have you had any issues with him? Please be honest with me. Because guess what? If you're not, I can't trust you ever again. And it's really hard to get back in good graces with these guys. Everyone is connected in this football family from NFL to college. The teams are going to find out. Every NFL team will if this is real, if this is not just a rumor, every NFL team will find out, and they'll be like, I don't want a guy like that in my offensive line room. Maybe if you're a wide receiver, you can get away with it. Maybe if you're a DB, you can get away with it. But you ain't getting away with it O-line.
They're soft.
You
Those
ain't getting
linebackers,
away
they're
with
soft.
O-line.
Oh, it's impersonal.
It's making me laugh because your
Getting
answer is
personal in
exactly what Coach Jay said when we talked about it. And then Carl in the chat,
What?
before you even answered, he said, holy crap, Pancakes and Bacon, Boogie and Coach Jay are pretty much the same people. Like, I'm telling y'all, it's just so comical because our wives are sitting there while I'm watching you guys on a Monday morning saying, these guys say the same crap you all say. Like, you all are so in line. It's funny to me. Sean Cross likes to talk about his wife. I can't read his super chats. It's a $5 super chat. He's making smash burgers on the Blackstone. Coach Jay overrated, overnighted dots. Sean, I love you. We got to learn to dot. We got to give a good 63 effort, Sean. We're not doing that. David Offer 2 says, tip jar, just love what y'all do. Thank you, David. We appreciate that. I told my wife it's going to be an hour because Reed and Kyler are coming on, and I told them an hour, so we're not going over. And she's like, "Okay, I'll see you in 2 hours." We're gonna tie a big fat bow on this show. At least we're not like you guys. You guys got to shut down and come back the next day because you talk so long. So we're gonna tie a big fat bow on it. Let's just briefly talk about the rest of the season. Reed, we'll start with you. What are your expectations? You got Kentucky coming up. You got Mississippi State. You go on the road to play Georgia. I think the rest of the season sets up look, Tennessee has every opportunity to go reach all their goals, right? So how do you think the rest of this season plays out?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. How do I think it plays out? I guess to answer about moving forward, looking how it's been with not only Tennessee, but all of college football, it's just been wild this year, which I think is going to make for a really great finish. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of coach cliche speak, but I really do firmly believe that each week everyone's going to have to show up and play their best football. I've mentioned it on our last podcast. I'm fine and really happy with where Tennessee is. If we had to lose a game, Arkansas was the game that I would have wanted us to lose. I did actually predict that we would lose that game back in the summer, but because just the way that college football is, but I'm fine with losing that, hopefully using that as a learning lesson. And moving forward, as long as Tennessee can play up to this, I'm not saying they have to play great, but play the standard they've been playing and maybe a little bit better, then they should absolutely win out and with everyone except for Georgia and go to Georgia, and it should be a street fight. And I said it on there. If Tennessee just hits, I mentioned earlier on here, you hit 40 to 50% of what Heupel's dialed up, and you might go down there and beat Georgia by 10 or 14 if you keep playing the same defense, hit some of these shots, and that's more of what Tennessee can do, and also that I don't think Georgia is nearly what they are, and I'm really happy with where we are, and moving forward, I don't know, like what you said, I feel very comfortable, and it's more about what Tennessee does than anyone else that we're playing moving forward. So,
completely agree. We were talking about it earlier. Like, where do you see the rest of, like, if the offense stayed the same, how do you see the rest of the season going? And it's like, if the offense were to stay the same, we lose one more game and it's at Georgia. Like, that's just plain and simple. We can win versus Kentucky. We can beat Mississippi State. We can beat Vandy. Those teams we can beat with this defense and how well the defense plays and the way the offense is playing right now. Georgia is not that same animal. So this Kentucky game and Mississippi State game are huge to get to that point where the offense is humming and doing what they need to and executing when we go down to Georgia and try and take on the Dogs. Like, that has to happen for this team to get where they want to go. 10-2 is kind of what, like, our prediction was at the beginning of the year, thinking like, first year starting as a quarterback where, we're kind of replacing dudes on the O-line where, we're trying to find our identity on offense right now, or we don't necessarily have it. And 10-2 seems like a reasonable thing and something very reasonable to get into the playoffs. A 10-2 SEC team, why wouldn't they? This year, I don't know. There are so many teams that have 0 or 1 loss, and it is something that has happened because the conferences have expanded. You're not playing everyone. Indiana is not playing every tough team in the Big Ten. Missouri is not playing every tough team in the SEC. So they were winning, and you were like, holy crap, this team might go undefeated. Texas A&M has they are just continuing to win, and they don't have another hard game till Texas. So Texas A&M, Texas, and Georgia, if we don't beat Georgia, are ahead of us in the SEC. Those 3 teams we will be 4th highest possible. And then you got to consider all the other conferences with undefeated teams and the 2 teams that make it to the conference championship and go, how many more spots are going to be available? But I think this offense can get it together. Like you said, Coach Jay, it is so close. It is so very close. And what we mentioned earlier, when you hit this expectation, now this is what I hold you to. Nico's throw on the run to Dante Thornton over the shoulder down the sideline is the reason why I say he can hit any of these throws he wants to hit.
Sure.
He can make any of the throws he wants to make. And it's just about execution and just about doing it. And as soon as he does, it's going to explode. I also think a fun little wrinkle in this, little prediction, I love Dylan Sampson just coming in like dark horse number 4 dude they invite to New York in the Heisman ceremony. I think Ashton Genty for sure. I think Travis Hunter for sure. And I think Cam Ward out of Miami for sure. Just because of the numbers they're putting up, Travis Hunter playing both ways. I think there's the 4th spot is open. And Dylan's at 17 rushing touchdowns right now. He's leading the SEC in rushing. I think he gets some numbers going forward. He has a big game opportunity versus Georgia. Imagine the dude, gets up in the high hundreds and 2-3 touchdowns, maybe 1 receiving touchdown. It's like, holy crap, this guy's got the numbers to back it up, and he's performing in big games. Listen, don't shoot the messenger, but if you want to maybe slide in a bet on that one, I wouldn't hate you for it.
We don't condone gambling around here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. But we talk about it every Friday morning on the Talkin VAWLS Network. So come back Friday. I'm not even gonna let Coach Jay tell you what he thinks about the rest of the season. You're gonna have to come back Friday morning, 10 a.m. Coach Jay, we'll kind of get more deep into the Kentucky game and the rest of the season. Sean Cross for $6.30. That's the most awkward super chat I may have ever read. Says, "Go Vols." I love you, Sean. You know I love you. Sometimes you little borderline though, but we love you anyway. Knoxville Predator Catcher for 5 says, "Does Kyler still have the champion of mindset?"
So I got that 5-star heart, baby.
Right,
when I asked you for a Butch story the last time you guys were on, somebody railed you in the comments. I'm like, "Are you kidding? Like, are you kidding me?" Like, I asked it, like, and you even prefaced it by saying, "Look, I love Butch did a lot for us. Like we were so close under Butch, but they ignore they only hear what they want to hear." Foul Ming for 5.
And it was funny. It was funny too.
I loved it. Foul Ming for 5, and this is a good question. Kyler, what do you think about Campbell's move to right tackle? Is it a big deal? Reed, how do you think will do making up for Pili? See, they won't let you all leave. So, Kyler, thoughts on Campbell moving to right tackle, and then Reed, keep that in the back of your mind. What are we going to do at linebacker for Pili?
I mean, Campbell's played both right and left since he's been here. They really do kind of like rotate guys more than I was used to. Whenever they started, like Glenn and Coach Hype, the amount of offensive linemen they rotated and moved sides, I was kind of surprised. Like you saw John Campbell, Mincy, and Crawford play right and left tackle last year, but all three of them meaningful snaps at both positions. So I don't see it as like a crazy thing. I honestly think John might be more comfortable over there, might be more, feel a little bit better over there. That, they do say if like you're right-handed, you feel a little bit more comfortable on the right side. I mean, it took me a minute to get used to left for sure. I was very used to right until I popped over there. So sometimes it can affect you, but sometimes it's like, hey, you're better on the right side. I don't know. We'll see.
Do you know how weird my life is as a dude that grew up in East Tennessee and got on YouTube and started talking about Tennessee football with his buddies? And somebody says, "Thanks for introducing me to Kyler Kirby." And it's like, what world am I living in that you don't? I'm telling you, I say it all the time, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your all's ass. I love their content. It's one of my go-tos. Now, do I watch every episode? No, because I'm busy trying to do my own thing, do my own show. Go watch their show. They are no nonsense. They're dudes. I don't want to be a media. People, one of the big questions, Boogie, when are you going to get a media? I don't want a media pass. I'm not going to sit here and go, "Welcome to WQRZ TV. We're down here, Nissan, Dodge, and Chevrolet." That's not who I am. I want to get on here and I want to talk ball with the boys. And that's what these two dudes do. And they do it at an elite level. And they both, like, obviously Kyler played at Tennessee. Reed played at Memphis. They know the game of football, but they talk to you like a dude. That's why I love and respect them. Their links are all in the description. So go subscribe. They're at Rocky Top Insider is actually the YouTube channel, but they have a playlist that is all of what Reed and Kyler do. So go sub them up. Their Twitter handles are also in the description below. Reed, talk a little bit about Keenan Pili. We'll tie a big fat bow on this thing and we'll call it a night.
Yeah, thanks a million for saying that and for the nice words, and it really means a lot to us. KP was I was hard on KP, and I'll admit it, but I think he played really, really well in the snaps that we saw from him this year. I hated it for him personally, almost more than I hate it for the team, because what he's been through. And man, like, I talk about getting emotional for a guy I don't even know, but like I get emotional looking at injuries for all these individuals because I know what it takes to get out there. And so it's it's brutal for him. But do I think it was this is an obvious statement. Yes, I do think it hurt Tennessee in the fact that not because Jalen Smith and T-Lander and Aaron Carter, like, not because they weren't playing well or not that I don't trust them, but I think it's fair to say that KP was the best backer that we had, in the fact that those three young guys, they'll do something really good. But then when I'm still watching the tape, Kyler and I will see them do something not so good the very next play. And that's okay. They're still young. They're all three of them are, I guess, true sophomores. So, I hate that we lost it for him and for the team, and it does make a difference. But I think the young guys they've clearly done good enough to win the biggest game of the year so far and to play really well, you know, and help win the game against Florida as well. Because it was early in Florida that he went down, correct? It was, yeah. Because yeah. So no, I think they've done a good job without him. You know, clearly they've played well and won games, but it is a loss for sure. For a couple different reasons, but yeah. And last thing too about we were talking about the season. Hey, maybe I'm just nervous because I would hate to lose to them, but wouldn't it just be so college football? And I'm not going to say so Tennessee, but so college football that we win these next 3 games or next 4 games, beat Georgia down there, and then last game of the year it's Vandy and Diego Pavio, just him and Jerry.
Why are you speaking this?
I've been having weird thoughts about that too, Reed. I've been having weird thoughts about that. Hey,
Kyler, what are you doing on Wednesday night? You want a new job? I can send Coach Jay over to.
It's the most. It's just the most
ridiculous.
It would just be listen. Do I think Tennessee loses the game? No, because but if I have seen them with my own 2 eyes beat Bama. Compete really well against Texas, and a pick 6 goes a different way in that game, and they don't get the roughing the passer. Texas wins that game by 17. But it's just like, you know, I thank goodness I do trust Heupel and defense travels, and even if we're not playing, but it would just be such a. We're talking about the end of the season. We can't just always say Georgia and Athens. Like, Vandy has made us say you still have to go to Vandy and beat them, even though stands will be even though the stands will be 70-30 Tennessee or 80-20 Tennessee. You still got to go do it, and that kid would like relish in that. Like that's what he would live for, to ruin our season. But
wait. So are we on the same page though? That
God bless America. It's really happening at the end of the show.
If Tennessee, let's say they have to lose one of. Let's say you can guarantee they'll either beat Georgia or beat Vandy, but they're going to lose one of the two. Would you rather them lose to Vandy and beat Georgia? Does that give them a better resume to get into the college playoff that way?
I don't know about resume.
I was like, I don't know either.
I don't know resume, but personally, I'd rather lose to Georgia and beat Vandy because at least Georgia's they're both away games, but Georgia's Kirby Smart.
I hear you.
Talent at Athens. You can't go lose to Vandy at Vandy.
That 10-2 feels way better than if you beat Georgia and you roll into the last game of the year and you lay an egg against Vanderbilt. It's 2022 all over again. But let me tell you something, Reed. Yeah. If they go beat Kentucky and Mississippi State and Georgia and UTEP and they roll into the season's on the line against Vanderbilt, you're looking at 11-1. I would bring one guy in, and you could look, maybe Inky Johnson. I don't know. Maybe you get Peyton Manning. I would bring one man in. Give that pregame speech, and this is what he would say.
And you have to not lose the game before you can ever win the game.
That's it.
Where's the lie?
That's it. That's what I would do.
Speaking truth right there.
They're never going to let us leave. Bleed Orange has been a member for 31 months. That's a lot of support. He says, off subject, Boogie, and I was going to save this for the fan call-in, but if there's still any battered Vol syndromers out there, here's a little nugget. Kirby and Kevin's record against Bama is 1-9. Hype is 2-2. Like, tell me when he's telling lies. Like, look, like back-to-back home wins against Florida and Alabama. Come on now. Right. Sean Cross for 2 says, good night, Vol family. These guys are awesome. I knew y'all just show up. And how are you not aware of what they're doing? Tony Canada's been a member for 9 months. He's about to give birth to his little tiny Talkin VAWLS baby. We appreciate you, Tony. Jeremy Thornton becomes a member of the family. I will just say family. We're a cult around here. Member of the channel. We appreciate you, Jeremy. And then VolFan25 drops a 50 right before we end the stream. Wow. We got a different clip we play for 50 spots, so we'll play the clip.
Money isn't everything. It's the only thing. And everyone has a price for the $1 million man.
VolFan25 says, sorry for missing the live, but GBO and Kentucky won't survive in Knoxville. Vols by 50. I think that's a perfect way to send us out the door. Reed, Kyler, appreciate you guys. I can't say it enough how much I love what you all do and what you bring to the table and your knowledge of football, but the way you present it as dudes. Like, I like dudes. I like talking ball with dudes. And like I said earlier, the media and the nonsense, and there's a place for that. I respect the media. They hustle, they grind. Like some of those guys, the work they put in, I'm like, nah, I just want to watch the game on TV and get on here and talk with the boys. That's what it's all about. It was a fun show. We're going to get you back on. this was the perfect time to do it. We're also going to do the charity stream again this year, so I want you guys to be a part of that. But go sub them up. Again, all the links are in the description. Show them some love on Twitter. Go tweet at them. Tell them how great they were tonight. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. But for Coach Jay, for Reed, for Kyler, my name is Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and